Welcome to Cooking at Nana Lodge and happy Eggplant Day. I know, I'm calling it Eggplant Day because we're going to make some eggplant parmesan today. So I put my purple apron on, and we got some beautiful purple eggplants here. I first was introduced to eggplant parmesan way back in my Buca days when I worked there, and we did it really thin and fried it really crispy and then layered it with marinara and provolone and some fresh chopped bruschetta tomato mixture and then baked it again in the oven. It was really crunchy and crispy. This version I'm going to do was inspired by something I made for Thanksgiving many years ago that has thicker slices of eggplant that are still breaded and fried, but then baked in a layer like a casserole. And I served it and I thought, oh, well, I love it, but who else is going to eat eggplant? But with 35 people over, everybody sort of dug in and tried it. And even the eggplant haters were like, wow, this is actually really pretty good. So this has been sort of my go-to eggplant parmesan recipe, and I want to share it with you. Up in front of me, there are a lot of ingredients, and eggplant parmesan is a few steps. We're going to bread and fry the eggplant and then let that cool, and then we're going to layer it with the cheese and the marinara and then bake it in the oven. So it is a little bit more time consuming than some of the other things I've shown you, but not hard. Nothing is a difficult step. And we'll show you how to slice the eggplant properly, how to salt it and let it drain, how to fry it, and then put it all together. This great vegetarian dish, not vegan because we got lots of cheese and a little bit of milk going on here, but this great vegetarian dish is so fun. The ingredients are, we're going to fry in olive oil, we're going to take the panko breadcrumbs and a little bit of Parmesan cheese and some oregano, put that in the food processor, and that will become our breading. And then we'll set up a breading station with the flour, the milk, the eggs, and bread the eggplant, fry it off. And then we're going to layer it with the mozzarella Parmesan, a little bit of fresh mozzarella on the top, some fresh chopped basil, and then marinara. I made spaghetti and meatballs a couple of days ago, so I've just got some leftover marinara from what we had that night. You can use any kind of marinara that you want. If you want to make your own, great. There's 100 recipes on the internet you can look for. If you want to just buy a jar of Prego or Ragu, that's just totally fine too, and that'll make this just really easy and take a step out of making homemade marinara. But let's put it all together, starting with slicing the eggplant. We're going to get the eggplant going first because that's going to want to sit salted and to drain for about 30 minutes. So I cut the top off. This is the root end. I'm going to cut the blossom end off, and then we want to cut them in about 1/2-inch pieces. There, so we've got 5 big pieces out of that eggplant. Then we're going to take it. I've got a sheet tray here lined with paper towel, and we're just going to lay that out there on the sheet tray like that. Take a little bit of salt, sprinkle that over the top. We'll repeat with the remaining eggplant and layer the paper towels on top, and then we'll just let it sit for about 30 minutes. While the eggplant is over there sitting salted, giving up some of its liquid so it gets nice and custardy when we bake it in that pan, we're going to set up our dredging station. So flour will stick to the eggplant. We're going to beat these eggs and whip them with the milk, and the milk mixture and the egg mixture will stick to the flour. And then we're going to take and make some breadcrumbs with some Parmesan cheese, and we're going to season that with a little bit of oregano. I've got panko here today, which is fine. You can use Italian breadcrumbs or whatever. We're going to take all of this and we're going to run it through the food processor so it gets nice and really fine. And then this mixture will stick to the wet mixture, and we'll bread our eggplant. Here's our breading station. We've got just the plain flour here, the eggs mixed with the milk, and then I've got the panko with the Parmesan and the oregano that I've put through the food processor to grind it up. You can see we've gotten our eggplant, and the paper towel has picked up some of the liquid. And to bread them, you simply want to push them in the flour. Make sure you get flour everywhere. And you're going to dunk it in the egg wash. Move it to the shake off the extra, and there we go. So we'll continue to bread all of these and then we're gonna fry them. All right, we've got all of our eggplant planks breaded and ready to go. I've got a large fry pan here on the stove and we're gonna put some olive oil in there, get it nice and hot, and we'll brown all of these off. And then while they're cooling just enough that we can handle them, we'll mix the mozzarella, the Parmesan, and the chopped basil, and then we'll be ready to assemble everything and put it in the oven. It is time to assemble all of the things. You've put a lot of work into prepping everything up. Let's put it together. We'll get it in the oven. So we want to start with just a little bit of sauce on the bottom. We can use the eggplant to help push that around too. It's okay if it overlaps just a little bit. It's going to cook down. Just kind of want to push that in there. We're going to cut a little piece, put a hole in, put it in that hole actually. I'll flip this one around and I'll create a bigger hole. Push that one in there. Now we're going to put a little more sauce on there. And then about 1/3 of our cheese mixture. Here I try and turn it just a little bit and I push down. It's sort of like making a lasagna with the eggplant as lasagna noodles. Push that down so we can get a nice 3rd layer in there and it compacts itself. We're going to cover this with foil, and because we don't want it to overflow, we're going to put it on a sheet pan so the bottom of the oven doesn't get too crazy. And a trick so that the cheese, as it melts, doesn't stick to the aluminum foil, I'm going to spray the underside of the aluminum foil with a little bit of vegetable spray. So see, I've got a little veggie spray on there. In the oven it goes. We're going to place our slices of fresh mozzarella over the top. And then we've raised the oven temperature to 425. It's going to go back in the oven for another 20 minutes. Our eggplant Parmesan is out of the oven. Boy, that looks delicious. It was hot and bubbling, and we're going to let it just rest for about 15 minutes. That'll allow everything to kind of settle just a little bit. It'll make it much easier to cut, but it won't cool it off so much as that it won't still be piping hot when we want to eat it. Our eggplant Parmigiana has cooled slightly. That fresh mozzarella on there is just such a beautiful white pop of color, and it just adds a touch of elegance to eggplant Parmesan. It comes out of the pan nice and easy, stays together, and we're ready to eat some dinner. Thanks for having fun with eggplant with me today, and tuning in to Cooking at Nanook Lodge.